Hello once again. Today we are going to be looking at strings and what they are and what other things that we can use strings for in Python. We wouldn't go too much into strings, but we are going to look at the basic things that we are supposed to know in order for us to be able to use strings more often and familiarize ourselves with it. Alright, so let's move in. So the first thing that we learned the last time was that strings are text, and then we can have something like this, and then we print, and this is a string. So what we can do is that we can have this and we can just print the type also in addition. You can just say type. So we have the string type, and then we have the text. So we had this is basically at a basic form, at the lowest unit for strings, but we call this a single line string. We also have what we call a multi-line strings. Multi-line strings are denoted by 3 quotes on either side. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then you can see I am really learning something new. Now what we have here is a multi-line string. It's a multi-line string. The reason why it's a multi-line string is because we have this string statement moving across multiple lines. And for you to be able to have a multi-line strings, then again we are saying that you need 3 quotes on either side of the string. So this is what a multi-line string is. Very simple and easy. You can just put this as this. Now let's print it out and see. Must always run it first. So usually when you're running your Python code and you have the error saying whatever you ran or whatever you wanted to print out is not defined, it means one thing. Defining a variable means that after you say maybe multi-line is equal to this, you have to run it for the system to absorb this definition that you've given to it. Once I wrote this, I didn't run it, so Python doesn't yet understand what it is. So after I run this line up, Python knows that anytime it calls multi-line, this is what should appear. So now when I printed called multi-line again, now this is what appears. So in a basic nutshell, you can say that assuming you are training a machine, like the machine learning models that is being built, you put in data, you train the machine to be able to recognize these patterns and traces in the data and the definitions you give to them, so that whenever something similar data of that structure is introduced again, the machine is able to know that this is A and this is B and this is C. In the same way, whenever you write a line of script and then you assign it to a variable, when you run it, the system now understands that whenever you call this variable, this is the value that is supposed to come out of it. So in a nutshell, this is strings and this is the multi-line string. The next thing we would want to add is that strings are sometimes also referred to as arrays. So we can have here, say, arrays. What we have over here is something we've already learned, and this is what we call commenting. So I've commented that the next thing that we are going to look at is arrays. So this should help us comment our code to make our code much more explainable. So we can have something like, let's say, intro. This is very interesting. I am loving it. So this is our introduction statement. This is very interesting. I am loving it. Now this is a string, right? But strings can also be referred to as arrays at times. The reason why we are saying strings can be arrays is that each character within these strings adds up to form a collection of items within the string. So we can just look at the length of the string. So we can do length into brackets intro. Now it is telling us that this intro variable that we have contains 41 characters. The characters that is in here includes even the spaces that we have in there. So we have 41 characters, meaning that we have 41 items within this string, making a collection of items. Hence, we have a list. So this list is an array. Now, when we also talk about arrays, the next thing that should come into our minds are what we call slicing and indexing. Slicing and indexing are always connected to arrays. Whenever you hear array, you definitely at a point in time use slicing, you definitely at the point in time use what we call indexing. So indexing and slicing are used interchangeably. Slicing means that you want to get a part of your string off. Probably we want to only have this is very interesting. You can slice it out and have only this is interesting, and then slice out the I am loving it. And you do the slicing by using what we call indexing, and indexing has to do with the position of the characters within the string. So when we say indexing, it has to do with the position of the characters. So let's just say I want to find the position of character T, but there are multiple T's. Okay. Okay. Since we have more, all right. So let's just find the index of character T. To find the index of character T, we can do intro dot index T. So give us the index. We have 0. Now you realize we have a lot of T's in here, but specifically this T starting with a capital letter. But obviously when you have like this T and this T, and you ask for the index of T, normally it should give you the first letter, because it's going to start reading from the left towards the right, so it's going to give you the position of the first T. So you should be very cautious when running statements like that. Yeah, so the index of, now we have the position of the letter T. It's saying that the position of letter T is at the index, the position of 0. Now this position 0 talks about the beginning of the if you want to count the position of the characters, the beginning of the first character and where it lies at position 0. Now this brings our attention to something when it comes to indexing, meaning that anytime we want to count position of characters in relation to indexing in Python, we are supposed to start counting from 0 and not 1. So you realize in here our length is saying 41, but when we are counting and using indexing, the last value or the last position of our character is going to be 40, because we are starting from 0, but when we are using the length starts from 1. So that is the difference between counting using the length and counting using indexing. Indexing always starts from 0, but when you use length, automatically starts from the letter 1. Right, so we are done with indexing. So let's say we want to get only the character dates. We have 0, 1, 2, 3. If that is the case, let's come down here. I'm saying I want intro and I want to slice it. If you want to slice it, you call the array. When you call the array, you call the fixed bracket around it, and then you put in the beginning of the slice and then where you want the slice to end. So it goes in like, we have start. I'm just typing in the format first for you to get it clearly. We have start, we have end, and then we have what we call step. So the beginning of where we want our count to start from, the end of where we want our count to end, or our slicing to end, and then the step talks about the number of times we want the counting or the movement through the characters, the number of times we want it to jump or to move to the next character. So let's try this. Call intro. I want it to start from position 0 and I want to end at position 4. When I run this, now I have my disc showing. So this is what we call slicing, and at the same time we are using the indexing functionality to give us a sliced string. So in a nutshell, we've captured multiline, we've captured arrays, and then we've looked at slicing and using the length to count the number of characters in our string. Next, we'll be looking at looping through our arrays and looking at some methods like using upper, lower, split, strip, and replace methods in strings. Let's look forward to the next video. See you again. Bye for now.